Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you're watching third part of What If Naruto Mastered Ancient Shinobi Way. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Are you sure? Yes, my lord, the man kneeling in front of the Earth Daimyo, Uzumaki no Kuni, has been re-established and has merged with Waterfall Country. The Waterfall Country has vanished, but the new Whirlpool Country is ruled by the Daimyo of Waterfall. Immediately summon the Tsuchikage and alert my generals, yelled the Earth Country's Daimyo. It appears that an opportunity has presented itself. The man stood up and hurried out the door. 2 months before. There are 3 types of forbidden techniques. Those that require a price that is far too high to pay, such as ending your carrier one way or another, like using the incomplete futon, Rasen Shuriken no Jutsu, or the Shiki Fuin. Those that are far too grotesque to even consider using, and those that are far too grotesque to even consider using. One of these is Orochimaru's impure world resurrection, as is his immortality. The third type does not come at the same cost as the first or is as sinful as the second, but it is forbidden because of what it does and how it does it. Kagesachi no Jutsu is one such technique. Naruto and Hinata arrived in Rice Field Country, the last place they had been before being adopted by Master Kyoshi. Hinata initially thought Naruto was going back after Sasuke, which she didn't mind, but they might have to kill him, and she didn't want to have to kill so soon. But, on the other hand, how else were they going to keep the Cretan in one place? Kabuto was a great medic, so breaking every bone in his body might not be enough. She breathed a sigh of relief when she discovered Naruto's true plan, which she adored. To establish a new hidden village, more than 2 ninjas are required, which is why the Fuma clan is located in Rice Field Country. Having seen firsthand what the clan's jutsus can do and how powerful they are, he had no doubts about the dying clan's potential. Being treated like nothing more than useless tools by a foolish and greedy daimyo was a great incentive to find another place to call home, and the arrival of Naruto and Hinata, 2 of the people who risked their own lives once to save them, was like a sign from God. To stay in Rice Field Country and hide from sound, or to seek a new home in a country with a clean slate, free to start over and grow stronger? The decision was simple. Within a week, they were on their way to their new home, to a new life full of adventure, new people, promise, and, most importantly, a place they would lay down their lives to protect without hesitation. Kuni no Uzumaki. 2 months later, the village had grown at an astonishing rate, with the addition of the Star Village ninjas as well as the Waterfall Village ninjas. Other ninjas he and Hinata had met who were looking for a place to call home also joined the new village. Surprisingly, the new village was founded near the hidden Whirlpool Village, where the last clan of Whirlpool ninjas, the Kitsumaru clan, was still training their arts. Not only the village, but Whirlpool Country as a whole, was expanding at a rate that had the nation's minds boggled. The country had even merged with the country of Waterfalls. Of course, this delighted the daimyo of Waterfall Country. Kyutaro Naiman, the former daimyo of the Waterfall Country and now daimyo of the much larger and growing Whirlpool Country, is a passionate man who is a strong, honest, and level-headed leader who treats his subordinates and allies with the humility and respect they deserve, in his eyes, that is, but above all, he is a great judge of character. This is what Naruto saw in him when he first came up with the idea, especially how he supported the ninja in a country that was already struggling and not turning to outside help, not turning his back on his ninja like the Wind Daimyo once did, so it was an easy decision on who would be the daimyo of the new Whirlpool Country. The merger benefited everyone. Whirlpool would be under proper political and economic supervision, and the new country would benefit from the fact that half of the country jutted out into the sea, making it a perfect port for trading. Well, at least half would be because that half of the peninsula was ravaged by Maelstrom, giving it its name, not to mention it was smack in the middle of both Rock Country and Fire Country, thus controlling. Unfortunately, the Earth Daimyo saw this and realized how much it would benefit him, so seizing a small country would be pointless. He intended to take this new country for himself. What a moron. Naruto-sama, I bring urgent news. The man said as he came to a halt in front of the blonde windbender and another man who appeared to be his sensei, panting heavily as if he had just run a marathon without stopping. Catch your breath, he said as he waited for him to do so. Now, what is this urgent news? After a few puffs of air, the winded man stood straight. Our spies in Earth Country have uncovered a plot by the Earth Daimyo to seize control of Whirlpool. Oh, I see. Before he could finish, another ninja appeared, a ninja in every way, from the way he dressed, spoke, and even looked. He knelt in front of him and threw his fist to the ground. Excuse this abrupt interruption, Uzumaki-sama, Jiraiya-sama, the kneeling woman said, her voice clear. Kyutaro-sama requests Uzumaki presence. Sama's, he says it is of the utmost importance. Jiraiya, now identified, looked at his godson with pride in his eyes. If only his father could see him, he would be proud, but if he was still alive, things would have been different. It was a mystery to him how Naruto and Hinata became so powerful in such a short period of time, let alone found a village, merge 2 countries, and save a few clans all in 2 months. The most unpredictable ninja in the world. I understand, and there's no need for you to kneel or anything, and please call me Naruto. The kneeling ninja stood but kept her head bowed. Besides, you're older than me, remember? How do I address you? My name is Reizoku Tsubaki, Uzumaki-sama, and I apologize, but we of the Reizoku clan have sworn allegiance and loyalty to you and Hinata-sama, and our sole purpose is to protect you and those of your bloodline and family, and failure to show proper respect to Uzumaki-sama and Hinata-sama is unforgivable. Naruto exhaled a sigh. Oh well, you can't expect the Reizoku clan to be too relaxed. They're more traditional than even the Hyuga. Thank God they're not jerks or egotists. Okay Tsubaki-san. Go back to the daimyo and tell him I'll be there later this day and wait for you, and you, he turned to the other obviously rested-shaped ninja, inform Hinata-chan about this development and ask her to meet me. Good day, Uzumaki-sama. All at once. Tsubaki and the other ninja vanished in a blur as Jiraiya and Naruto walked out of the clearing and back to the village. Well Gaki, I guess that's all for our training today. I'm going back to do my research, Jiraiya said as they re-entered the village, seeing a very curvaceous and scantily clad woman walk past him. This place is a gold mine of beauties, and she is a ninja as well. Jiraiya expertly whipped out a pen and a notepad and pursued the woman who had passed them. She saw him and his perverted antics as she turned a corner, but that wasn't the shocking part. The shocking part was that when she saw him, she smiled one of the most seductive smiles he had ever seen and winked an eye, all for him. I don't think so, Arrow, Senin. But Jiraiya had already left before Naruto could warn him, so he just shrugged and continued on his way. If Jiraiya hadn't been such a pervert, he wouldn't be in the situation he was about to find himself in. I hope Hinata is okay with healing super perverts. I suppose he'd be fine. If Oba-chan can't kill him, he won't die, but that woman was from the Kitsumaru clan, so I'd better notify Mika on the way. Jiraiya made a huge mistake by being an open pervert to a female Kitsumaru clan member. Unlike most kunoichi, the Kitsumara clan, which is mostly made up of women, follows the more devious path of kunoichi. They were pure tricksters and seducers. They would stab you in the back with a dagger while giving you a sweet embrace, and had a bloodline limit that allows their breath to become poison to the opposite gender when aroused. It takes a great deal of control and a lot of training to properly control this advanced bloodline limit. As a result of their training in this bloodline limit, it is often secluded and forbidden to anyone who is not of their clan who is of proper skill to even witness the training. It would be a shame for some unfortunate pervert to find out about their training and decide to steal their technique for themselves. No one has ever survived. Fortunately or unfortunately, the person Jiraiya went after possessed control of her abilities, allowing her to control the poison in such a way that she could poison a man with a kiss and still not let him die. Stupid pervert will get it now. After informing Hinata of the situation and his meeting with the daimyo in the evening, he set off for the daimyo's mansion, but as he was leaping through the trees, he felt someone shadowing his every movement, and they were good, but apparently not good enough because he could tell their every movement and exact positions. He continued on his path through the trees, taking care not to alert his pursuers and waiting to see what they would do. They weren't attacking, so maybe they weren't hostile, but if they weren't hostile, why were they concealing their presence? So he decided to move down to the floor. Two figures in black cloaks with red clouds on them dashed through the trees with a stealth that can only be honed by years of working as some sort of Anbu or spy. They had carefully shadowed their target in order to catch him off guard. They were not afraid of him in the least, on the contrary, because the target they were after, while he had potential, had not yet reached it, and they knew it. So they reasoned. The blonde target continued his path, completely unaware of the impending situation, passing through a large tree, causing his pursuers to lose sight of him for a fraction of a second. That didn't matter to them because he was still there, and the red eyes of the shorter of the two pursuers saw no sign of a jutsu being performed, and it would be surprising to say the least if he had pulled some sort of jutsu in that time. The blonde target abruptly came to a halt as the taller of the two lunged forward straight into a tree, his head colliding against a tree as he slumped to the ground unconscious. The shorter of the two stared in disbelief at his partner's downed form, his mouth open to show his shark-like teeth. How? He didn't waste time staring at his partner, trying to figure out what had happened so quickly that his target had the upper hand. He returned his gaze as quickly as he could to the last location where he had seen the blonde Jinchuriki, only to find him gone. Impressive, Uzumaki Naruto, but do you think you'll be able to defeat me? The man spoke in a monotone voice that was neither wavering nor empathetic. He knew he was still alive because his Sharingan can tell the difference between shadow clones, so the last Naruto he saw was the genuine article, and he was only hiding. So, it was you too. I sensed a massive amount of chakra following me, it almost obscured your presence. Naruto's voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. Now the question is, should I kill you or capture you, gouge out your eyes, and interrogate you on all the information you have on the Akatsuki and why you slaughtered your clan? Itachi smiled, which appears to be misplaced on his face. I see you're still looking for my stupid little brother? Since you have incapacitated my partner, I have no reason to fight you now, I wish only to talk, Itachi said as he turned around to look at a position a few meters away covered in leaves. I find it difficult to believe the word of a murderer like you. Naruto's voice echoed around him, betraying no emotion like Itachi's, but unlike Itachi, it wasn't dead. Why should I listen to a treacherous family murdering bastard like you? Because you, of all people, should know that not everything that happens in the ninja world is as it appears, he said again in a dead voice. So, will you listen to me now? I assure you, I mean you no harm, intentionally? Naruto unexpectedly appeared behind Itachi, surprising him, but his years at such high levels allowed him to conceal it. Fine, let us talk, Naruto said as Itachi turned around to face the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. What do you want to tell me in hurry? I have an important meeting to get to. You have a lot of skill with Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. I know it's a clone. I don't trust you, the clone replied, and this way we can talk and I can keep an eye on you without you keeping an eye on me if you try something stupid, or in your case, smart. Fair enough, he said, closing and reopening his eyes to reveal charcoal black eyes. What is your relationship with my foolish little brother? Why should that matter to you, Itachi? It is your fault he is what he is and did what he did, the clone asked again, this time with a puzzled expression on his face. Just respond to the question. Itachi's voice was as dead and emotionless as ever, but his eyes told a different story without the Sharingan active. I see. The clone vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving no trace. Itachi looked around calmly, Sharingan blazing to life, looking for any sign of the blonde ninja. Before, I couldn't see it because of the Sharingan, so I didn't look, Naruto said from behind the stunned form of Uchiha Itachi, his back turned to protect his reputation, but when you turned off your Sharingan, I saw it, but I don't understand. And what did you see, Naruto Uzumaki? Sadness, regret, and pain, Itachi said as he turned to face Naruto, his eyes widening at his words. The question is, why? Aren't you Uchiha Itachi, the Uchiha clan's genius, the former pride of the Konoha Anbu, the man who slaughtered his entire clan, the man who tortured his own little brother, and Konoha's most dangerous missing nin since Orochimaru Teme? So, Itachi, why are your eyes filled with such emotion? The old Naruto would not have taken the time to probe the depths of the man's soul to discover his true motivations. After all, the eyes are the windows to the soul, but a dojutsu can be very effective burglar-proof, so he looked into his blackened pools puzzled. It appears that I misjudged and undervalued you. I suppose lying is pointless. It is regret, Naruto-kun, regret for doing things that I did not want to do, but for the betterment of my home and my foolish little brother, I had no choice but to carve out my own heart, he said as he deactivated his eyes once more, the red fading into black. There is one thing you said that was incorrect. I think I understand, but I can't believe you were ordered to destroy your own clan. And what am I wrong about? Then it dawned on him, wait, you were Anbu, so that means Gigi gave you the order? I still can't believe it. No, Sandame, Sama did not give the order but was forced to carry it out. It was through him that Sasuke was spared. So, who was it? Homura and Kaharu, the Hokage's advisors. I see. How come you didn't tell him? Naruto had an idea, but first he wanted to see what the Uchiha genius knew about his brother. Had he known the truth, he would have tried to destroy the village. I'd rather he despise me. Naruto had a newfound respect for the man after that. He was devoted to his village to the point of obsession, but he cherished his brother even more than he cherished his village. So, how do you feel about my foolish little brother? Itachi asked the question again, less certain of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki's answer because he had grown since the last time he saw him. He was the first bond I formed, someone I called my rival and would have called my best friend and brother, but he stabbed me in the chest with a Chidori. Naruto paused to calm his mind before sighed, but I still have a promise to Sakura to return him to Konoha, and I never go back on my words. My Nindo is like that. I see, he said, his face still an unreadable mask, but anyone who knew what to look for could see it in his eyes. He's truly hopeless, isn't he? Don't try to play mind games with me, Itachi, that's my field. Naruto sighed again, knowing the truth or most of it and finding that Itachi had suffered enough for his loyalty that he would do this one thing for him. Fine, I will try and save the bastard, but I cannot save him from himself if he doesn't want to be saved, but I give you my word. Something truly remarkable happened as a result of those words, so remarkable that you'd think it was a really twisted genjutsu. Itachi cracked a smile. His face was even cracking, but it was a genuine smile. Thank you, Naruto Uzumaki. I will be eternally grateful. If you don't die, we'll call it even. However, that is simply insufficient. Well. Before he could continue, they noticed Kisame turning, a sign that he would soon awaken. I guess I should go now. What was I wrong about? I wasn't the only one who killed my clan. Uchiha Madara was there as well. The Kyuubi should be familiar with him. Naruto turned and continued on his journey to meet the daimyo in the capital of Whirlpool Country. If we meet again in compromising situations, do whatever it takes to keep your cover intact, and when this is over, seek me out. I always have a warm spot for a comrade. And then he was gone. You threw away too much, comrade, my foolish little brother. I hope we can be on the same side the next time we meet Naruto. What the hell happened to me, and where is that brat? I see you're awake, but he managed to get away from me. After a few more hours of darting through the trees at breakneck speed, Naruto arrived at the daimyo's residence. Inside, secretaries and others were frantic, and even the guards were on high alert and clearly nervous, because they had almost attacked Naruto when he arrived. If he hadn't been a ninja above genin level, the guards would have begged forgiveness while he was in the hospital. Of course, he could have used his Kagesachi no Jutsu, but unexpectedly appearing in daimyo's office at this time would be a bad idea. After all, the man was in his late 60s, and Naruto wouldn't want the man to have a heart attack. Naruto-kun, the daimyo exclaimed as he ushered him into his office, I am glad you came so quickly. I know this may be too much to ask so soon, but I need your help. Does this have anything to do with the looming invasion of Iwa? He asked calmly as he accepted the tea handed to him by the distraught-looking lord. Yes, I understand that this is a military matter, but I fear for the army of one of the great nations. No need to say anything else, Naaman, Dono, Naruto sipped from the cup, send out your army and we will provide backup from the shadows, after all, we have many advantages. And what exactly is Naruto, Dono? Because we are a small country, we should be able to mobilize and be ready more quickly than they are. Because of the size of their country, it could take weeks to travel to our borders, and the best advantage we have is, he sipped his tea again as the Whirlpool daimyo listened intently, they will greatly underestimate us, which we will use to our advantage. What exactly do you mean? The Earth daimyo probably thinks this country is insignificant and not worth the time, but with the potential to become a great economic power, so he won't send his full military might and there won't be many ninjas, maybe 20 junins at most. That makes sense, Naaman scratched his chin, but how do you calculate the amount of ninja? Even if the former hidden waterfall village is impossible to find, that does not eliminate the threat of the leader, whom they may see as the most dangerous, and rightfully so. They'd send enough junin to kill a Kage because they knew the ninjas of Waterfall were formidable. Oh, I see. The words had barely left his mouth when one of the compound's guards burst in, covered in blood and a kunai lodged in his back. Intruders. Lord. Ninja. Intercepted. And. He fell forward, life leaving his body, but before he hit the ground, he was caught by a pair of strong arms and gently placed on the ground. He felt a burning sensation where the kunai was removed, followed by a warm soothing sensation. Rest assured, you did an excellent job. He made a shadow clone and left it in the care of the daimyo before racing outside to where the sounds of battle could be heard. Outside, Naruto discovered 3 bodies, 2 dead and 1 unconscious, all wearing the Iwa Hitai Itei in the middle of a large expanse of a yard riddled with kunai shuriken in a fair-sized crater caused by some sort of jutsu or exploding notes. On the roof, the 4th member of the Iwa team was currently winning a battle with a Reizoku clan member. Tsubaki was able to take out 3 of the 4-man team but was having some difficulty with the 4th member, who was apparently Junin level, but it was still quite remarkable that she was able to do so much by herself. I've never seen Tsubaki fight, but she must be at least Junin level to take out 3 Chunin by herself, Naruto reasoned as he crept up the side of the mansion to flank the unsuspecting ninja. But her last opponent is a Jonin judging by his clothes, and Tsubaki appears to be waning a bit, I need to hurry. Naruto is normally quick enough to reach the offending Iwa Junin and disable him, but he was currently wearing extra weights. He had not stopped training his body and mind after leaving his training home, and he had also been learning under Jiraiya to further the technique of the 4th Hokage and ceiling reaching higher and higher heights. So for the time being, he had to rely on his stealth. It would suffice. Stealth was as natural to him as breathing. Tsubaki fell to the ground after being punched in the stomach. She quickly rolled to the side to avoid the kunai thrown to impale her, but was met with a vicious kick to the jaw. Tsubaki blocked the foot and used the momentum of the kick to return to her feet and quickly flipped out of her opponent's reach and took a defensive stance, then relaxed while panting heavily as she returned to a neutral posture. "This fight is over," the masked Reizoku declared. "You have lost." "You pathetic bastard." The Iwa Junin yanked a kunai from his kunai pouch and charged at the stoic ninja. "I will destroy you for my comrades and for taking me lightly." He closed the gap in an instant, but Tsubaki hadn't moved an inch, not even batting an eye, but the enraged Iwa ninja ignored this and plunged his kunai into Tsubaki's head, but his hand stopped a few inches away from her face. "That's enough," a voice from behind him said. "What?" The Iwa Junin was stopped dead in his tracks by a vice-like grip on his wrist. He turned to face the newcomer, only to be met by a blue-eyed blonde 15-year-old with eyes that held a remarkable strength beneath them. "You fucking brat," the rock nin yelled as he dropped the kunai to his other hand and attempted to stab Naruto only to have his other wrist caught and unceremoniously broken, followed by a swift kick to his temple knocking him out instantly. "You did fantastic, Tsubaki-san, and I appreciate your perseverance. I must apologize to Uzumaki-sama because I am weak, and Uzumaki-sama had to save me. I am not worthy of your praise, and my family suffers as a result." "Is that correct?" "Uzumaki-sama, yes. You just took out 3 chunin and held off a jonin for quite some time. You did quite well and you should be proud of yourself. You are a very strong ninja, Tsubaki-san, and you made no mistakes." "Thank you very much, Uzumaki-sama." "No problem, but you've been injured, and we need to get you back to the village for treatment as well as our prisoners. We now have a valuable source of information thanks to you." Naruto used his Kagesachi no Jutsu to teleport the 2 unconscious IWA ninjas, injured Tsubaki, and himself directly to the village's newly constructed hospital after briefing the daimyo on the situation. He awoke in a dark, cold room, the slow rhythm of cold water dripping on his face gradually bringing him into consciousness. He'd rather not have. He frantically looked around in the darkness, trying to get his bearings and determine his location, but it was futile. A single candle burned in a nearby corner. He could tell the room wasn't large, but why were these shackles on his limbs and why was he bare-backed and lying on a slab of stone? "Where am I?" the man asked, his ninja training keeping him calm. "Iwa Junin, I'll be asking the questions here." His eyes widened as he wondered how long that man had been standing there, why he hadn't noticed him, what kind of trouble he was in, and whether he would survive. "Who in the world are you? Wasn't you listening?" "Footfalls, not even attempting to hide, I'll be the one asking all the questions." "You bastard, go to hell." "I had a feeling you'd say something like that," the figure in the darkness sighed, "but my country is in danger from yours, and as a Junin of your country, I feel you have privileged information, so how much and what kind of forces will be sent to attack Whirlpool country?" "Fuck off," he says. "That is not a good attitude to show to someone who has your life and the life of your one living comrade in your hands. I think her name is Shinko." The Junin's eyes widened, thinking that everyone was dead. "So please give me the information. We would not want anything to happen to your precious teammate. She screamed so much when we removed her toenails, but she is a resilient one. She didn't start until the 4th one was." Something landed on his chest as he heard a card or something being rolled in a case being opened. When the Junin looked down at his chest to see what had fallen on him, he could feel his resolve eroding slowly but steadily, but he couldn't show it because he was not only a Junin, but also an Iwa ninja. "Huh, you think I'm a fool? That could be anything made to look like her nails, and besides, I'll never tell you anything. We're going to destroy your precious Whirlpool country and claim it for ourselves." It came out more frantic than he expected, the dripping water on his face doing its job, chipping away at his resolve piece by piece. Then an awful feeling gripped him. It felt like a wild animal tearing out his intestines, almost making him choke on his own vomit. He looked down to see his body still intact. What was that feeling? It felt like killing intent but without the oppressive feeling that usually accompanied it. No, it was bloodlust. You said the wrong thing, and I told you before that we are short on time, but you are strong. When Shinko said something like that, she almost didn't survive and told me everything that she knew, so I already know when the attack will come. But what I need to know is what kind of force will be sent. Will it be ninjas, samurai, or a mixture of both? So please, I have no ill will towards you, I only wish to protect my home. When the figure appeared in front of Iwa Junin, he was taken aback to see a kid about 15 years old with blonde hair and blue eyes that seemed to stand out in the darkness of the small room.
You're that brat from before.
If that's all you have to say, then let us get started, and by the way, she begged me not to kill you, so I think she likes you. Naruto scanned a few hand seals. You don't frighten me, kid. Raiden. Atamiyomi no Jutsu. Small dark sparks began to dance around his hands. You should be afraid. This is a technique that causes great pain to the victim. When Naruto touched him on the shoulder, the man gritted his teeth and steeled his resolve, expecting to be subjected to hellish treatment, but slowly opened his eyes when he realized that no such feeling had occurred. He was about to unwind when he let out a glass-shattering scream of pure agony. Why you brat, what did you do to me? He couldn't take much more of this. I'll just answer one question. That technique significantly increases the amount of pain a person feels. A small scratch you wouldn't have noticed before will feel like a soaked whip across your bare skin, Naruto said, raising a small dagger in front of the nin. So will you tell me what I need to know? And no. His resolve had already been broken, and he could only take a few more. Then know that I don't enjoy what I have to do. He made light cuts under the man's foot and hands, nothing life-threatening in the least, only to cause maximum amount of pain. After all, these are the most sensitive parts of the body. After Naruto got what he wanted, he flashed back through the same hand seals, ending the agonizing pain and walking back out the room not before stopping the drip over the man's head. Have you received anything, Naruto-kun?
We have 1 month until they attack. A pair of delicate arms embraced him from behind. He didn't know that much, but he did know that the Earth Daimyo would want to do this in one fell swoop to show his power and that the Tsuchikage will only send minimal forces of about 100 ninja, 50 of which are Junin ninja to take care of the waterfall ninja.
So, Naruto-kun, what's the plan? I don't have one yet, but, Tsubaki, could you gather all the ninja at the meeting place so that we can discuss everything I've learned? Right away, Uzumaki-sama. Tsubaki vanished as Naruto and Hinata approached the meeting point. Has Hinata-chan's new academy and curriculum been completed? Yes, the building was finished a week ago, and we have quite a number of children from the clans and from the original citizens wanting to join. The curriculum was also finished while you were gone, so you can go over it with the others at the meeting. When do you want the academy to start? As soon as possible, they said as they emerged from the tunnel. What about the hospital? Mika is a very brilliant and capable medic ninja from the Waterfall Ninjas. I asked her to be the head of the new medical department, and she agreed. She is a very capable medic ninja, so there is no need to be concerned about health. As usual, you are the best. Let us hurry up to the meeting location. There are some things I would like to discuss. When Naruto and the ninjas who chose to accompany him first arrived at the village, it was actually divided into two sections. The civilian sections and the more secret ninja sections, where the old folk of the Whirlpool village passed down their knowledge in the arts of shinobi to the younger generation. It was the only way they could survive the ages, as the Whirlpool country had become an empty spot on the map, with no lord to govern. With the return of the last son of the Whirlpool, Uzumaki Naruto, and those who chose to follow him, this secret place remained a secret, but it was no longer just for surviving and passing on knowledge of a bygone era. It was now a place where a new era could be raised. The village was divided into two sections. A civilian section with living quarters and numerous shopping stores, markets, and administrative buildings that were not required for security. In the other part of the village was the proposed academy as well as other training facilities where powerful as well as forbidden and secret techniques could be taught, learned, and mastered in the privacy of any potential spy.
It was here that the meeting took place. It was a secure location, and the only way to get there was through a maze-like cave system that was protected by a number of deadly traps designed to kill anyone who didn't know where they were going. And so perplexing was this maze that it would even confuse the eyes of the Byakugan, and can only get there if one has been there before or was guided to it. Even though many of the paths were crossed, taking shortcuts at the end of the cave, there was light, and as you emerged from the darkness of the cave into the light, you were greeted with the spectacular sight of a lush green forest, and as you walked further, you would see many tranquil lakes and clearings that appeared to be naturally formed by nature.
The meeting would be held further ahead near the coast where whirlpools swirled endlessly throughout the year, and off the shoreline stood a cliff that resembled a colosseum in shape, more of a large rock formation than a cliff. Naruto and Hinata could hear murmurs from inside the formation as they walked through the heavy wooden door to meet the entire ninja population of the new village, and as they caught sight of them, all the murmurs stopped. Uzumaki-sama, Lady Hinata, we came as soon as we got the message, one ninja from the Katumaru clan said, followed by nods from all the gathered ninjas. Does this have anything to do with the invasion of New Whirlpool that we have been hearing about? Please, Naruto, and yes, I have information I'd like to share with you all, as well as your thoughts and advice on the matter. What exactly is this information, Naruto-sama? You really don't have to add that honorific, Naruto said, scratching his chin. No sense, you and Hinata are like the angels who rescued all of us in some way or at the time when we needed it the most, said an old ninja, most likely one of the elders who held the village together for so long after Whirlpool's fall. Whether it was from loneliness, a figure with the appearance of a ninja. A corrupt leader, said the pale-faced man with no distinguishing features. Death, and even from ourselves, another man wearing a hakama and a long sword across his back said, so please let us defend our home together, Naruto, Sama, Hinata, Sama, not to mention you two are the strongest amongst us all. Naruto and Hinata were taken aback. They had not expected to accomplish so much in such a short period of time, nor did they expect to be so well respected and loved for it. Well, if you put it that way, Naruto scratched his chin and Hinata blushed slightly, but back to more important matters. The Earth Daimyo has declared war on the Whirlpool country and his attack force will be ready in 1 month. We have the advantage of preparing in less time and also the element of surprise. What? Exclaimed a random ninja. Even though New Whirlpool is a merger of Whirlpool and Waterfall, the army is still that of only Waterfall, and the army will be crushed. There is no need to worry, Naruto assured. From what he said, the Earth Daimyo only sees us as a developing threat should we expand further, so he is trying to put a stop to us at the very least if not take OVR for his own benefit, so he will not even send the full strength of the army and is requesting backup from the Tsuchikage to deal with the Waterfall ninja. So, what are your plans? I mean, this has nothing to do with ninja, and the Earth ninja will be looking in the wrong place for quite some time, but we can't have Earth walking all over our country as if it were their own. The gathered ninja murmured in agreement. Naruto raised his hands once more to calm the crowd. Don't worry, I just had an idea. A smile crept across Naruto's face, a smile that anyone who knew him would recognize. His prankster's mind was acting up again, and Hinata smiled as well. Ayo Tenpai, you seem to have something up your sleeve? Everyone was aware of the nicknames Naruto and Hinata had given each other by this point, but they were unaware of his true brilliance as a prankster and how practical and devastating it could be. Sure, some had seen a piece of it in the past when they lived their old lives, but never the full extent, but no, the situation was extreme and he would let slip his full potential. After all, when facing superior numbers with greater strength, open battle was definitely out of the question, and Naruto, for a long time, probably longer than anyone knew, was a master at fighting when the odds were stacked against him. Even though the enemy would be mostly samurai with a few ninja thrown in for good measure, the army of the whirlpool was essentially the army of the waterfall, so they would be outmanned and outclassed. Even the ninja in the newly established village had no chance against the ninjas sent to destroy the waterfall village. They might have more numbers on that front thanks to the ninjas they now had from Hoshi and the other whirlpool clans, but that would still leave them vulnerable. I certainly do, Sukihana, and I have an idea that just might work, but first I would need the following people: Hagen Riku, Sasurama Tanoko, Tuno Kanta, Hikari Shigur, Fuma Danjo, Kumori Mataza, Kagemusha Jin, Kitsumaru Mari, and Reizoku Tsubaki. With the exception of Hinata and me, you are the strongest ninjas we have and you will be a... Naruto went on to explain his general plan, saying that the details would be worked out later. He moved on to discuss the structure of the village and the system he had in mind after explaining his plan. Now that the academy curriculum and the building have been completed, when can we begin training the students? Beginning tomorrow, Uzumaki-sama. Okay. Naruto went on to outline the plan for the village's structure and the system to be used. It was open so that all the ninja could contribute and debate it. The new system would ensure that the village made the best use of the two sections it already had. One section would house a medical care facility, an administrative building where missions and mission briefings could be given and meetings could be held privately, and it would also serve as a staging point or temporary fort. The first section would also include weapon shops and craftsmen, businesses, housing for both ninja and civilians, and so on. In other words, it was similar to any other ninja village but only gave any outsiders a false sense of confidence. The second part of the village was a ninja-only zone. The meeting place was part of this zone, and unless you were a ninja from the village, you would not be able to get there, and outsiders would not even know how to get to the cave that served as its entrance. The second part was the real deal, hidden between a cliff and a stormy sea that was filled with maelstrom all year. It would house the academy where ninja would be trained to become genin, as well as lodging and training fields of all shapes, sizes, and shapes suitable for training and mastering any art and, of course, the meeting place. I like it, Hagen Riku said, because if there is ever an attack, the enemy will be lulled into a false sense of strength, and while they focus only on the ninjas in the village, the rest of the ninja can counterattack with minimal loss of life, and civilians can be taken into shelter in the ninja section. Precious, Riku-san, Hinata added, and to make matters easier, we could request that all non-ninjas undergo some basic or minimum training so that they can get to shelter a lot faster, thus greatly reducing the loss of lives. By the way, Hinata-sama, Naruto-sama, said the Fuma clan's leader, what exactly is the curriculum for the academy? All the clans here have not many children due to their small size, but we would like to see the best for our children. There's no need to worry, Fuma-san. Naruto tried to hide the fact that he had forgotten his name. The system we've designed is far superior to even Konoha, I should know, but you all can give advice where necessary. He smiled as he turned to face Hinata. If you will, Hinata-chan. Of course, she replied as she took a step forward. The academy teachings shall last 4 years where students will learn stealth and cunning, general knowledge such as mathematics, history, diplomacy, and all knowledge required by a ninja to know, taijutsu, the use of weapons including shuriken kunai and one other of their choosing, the basics of ninjutsu, and the basics of taijutsu. I'm impressed. This is very strict. However, what if a student fails? Students can try as many times as they want, but because we are a small village, one of our ninjas must be equal to 3 ninjas from the great nations. Naruto then chimed in to finish what Hinata had started. The best part about this system is that it allows students and us to know where they can specialize and be most successful, allowing them to seamlessly integrate into the ninja system. What ninja system are you talking about, Naruto-sama? Asked Tuno Kanta, Kitamaru's lost and slightly slow brother. Because of the impending invasion, I have decided that the best way to make us as efficient as possible is to place each ninja into a sector, hunting, assassination, medical, or intelligence, each under a unit captain. No one would be forced to join any sector or stay, but you must comply with the instructions and training that the unit captain gives you if you choose to stay. Who will choose the captains, Naruto-sama? An unidentified ninja asked. As the person we will vote for as village leader and council members, I nominate Fuma Hanzai. I am honored by your trust in me, Naruto-sama, but I must decline. I am insufficiently powerful to lead us all. A leader does not have to be the most powerful. He or she must care the most, and the way you have led the Fuma clan up to this point is admirable and definitely leadership material. If that's the case, then you should lead us. Naruto opened his mouth to say something, but was cut off by someone shouting, I second that, Naruto, and another, yay, me too, Naruto. Sama is the strongest and smartest, among other things. Well, Naruto-kun, Hinata said quietly in his ear, this may not be Hokage, but if you're the kind of man I know you are, this is a lot better. Would you all agree to have a Jinchuriki as your leader? Even better, another random ninja exclaimed, which one do you have? Kyuubi no Kitsune, he looked over the ninja gathered to gauge their reactions. The respect and admiration they all had for him before did not waver one bit, in fact, it appeared to grow a little. Would you still have me as your leader? Of course, said the Reizoku clan leader, an old man in his 70s leaning on a cane. There is no better choice for someone to have grown up bearing such a burden and becoming powerful in spite of it and not because of it and also not arrogant. I knew it was a great decision for my clan to swear a blood oath to protect and serve Uzumaki-sama and Lady Hinata and any descendant of Naruto-sama. Naruto smiled and raised his hands to draw everyone's attention to himself. If everyone truly wishes it, then I will give my best to lead and be the best guardian that I can only if Shibuki, Fuma Hanzaki, and Megan Tosuke become the council. Everyone looked at him in disbelief, then he grinned, because if I die, who will protect you? So I will live and fight until I can no longer fight, protecting this new village from all harm, beginning with the Earth Daimyo. Nicely said, said the ninja with the long sword strapped to his back, Hagen Riku, the blind no Dachi, Uzumaki Naruto, Shodai Kanshisha of Arashigakure no Sato. Why the storm-hidden village, Riku, Dono? Hinata inquired. It's because before we all came here, our lives were all shrouded in some sort of storm, and this place, if you look out to this portion of the sea, is constantly filled with storm and maelstroms, but it can only make us stronger, and the most important reason is because of you, Hinata-sama and Naruto-sama. What do you mean, Riku-san? Inquired another ninja. Yeah, what do you mean? Naruto was perplexed by the last part, but Hinata had an idea. Being blind, I can no longer use my eyes, so I have to rely on my other senses to continue as a ninja. As a result, I can sense things that normal people can't, like that overwhelming power you two have over the elements of wind and water, which appears to be above the level of manipulation. You're quite perceptive, Naruto said, but did you know we're not just attracted to water and wind? Being blind does a lot for the mind and allows you to see things others cannot. I trained for many years to sense not just chakra but the aura that everyone exudes, something like a sixth sense, and I could tell you. What do you think would happen if you and Hinata released your full powers at the same time, excluding the foxes? You're right, it would be a storm, or at least that's what Master said what happened, he said in hushed tones, then he looked up with fire in his eyes, the fury of the storm raging within them. We have 1 month to get ready everyone. Let us go and train harder than we have ever trained in our lives. No longer are we fighting just for ourselves or for power or recognition but for the new comrades we have made, for the innocent. They all left with a newfound passion and unwavering resolve, a passion that raged within each and every heart and a resolve that will propel them all to greater heights. Only Naruto, Hinata, and the 9 ninja he had summoned earlier in the meeting place remained when they all left. What do you want us to do, Uzumaki-sama? You 9 will be training with me for the next month. You are all Jonin rank ninjas, the only Jonin rank ninjas in the village, but Hinata and I will forge you into something more, the top elite of this village by any standard. You will be known as," he paused for emphasis, "Jiryu no Arashi." The 9 ninjas stood before their new leader, ready to take his orders no matter what he said. With the exception of himself and Hinata, he had honored them all by naming them the strongest ninjas, but there was something on all of their minds. Who would be the first to point out the obvious? Even Hinata looked at him strangely, but said nothing. After all, he never did anything without a reason, even when he was a day fresh genin. Alas, one stepped forward, a woman clearly in her early 20s with shoulder-length pink hair and pigtails and big round eyes of the same color who exuded innocence. If her clothing choices were any indication, she appeared to be the type of person who was either unwilling or unable to let go of her childhood. Nay, Naruto-sama, you only chose 9 of us," she said as she looked around at the others, some with disdain and others who pretended they didn't know what they were talking about. "Hey, no need to be that way," said Naruto, smiling at the group, "she's right, and I'm sure all of you knew." Shigure simply beamed with pride, while everyone else looked embarrassed. "Should I make a mistake in the future, I would appreciate it if at least my Junin informing me, he wasn't berating them but being lectured was just as bad, but he is the leader, but I made no mistake this time, there is one other that I have hopes of joining us, and I hope that person will lend us a hand in the coming battles." Will we see or know this person? Maybe during one or more of the battles, but there are things that must be done afterward. You all know about this ninja, and I am using this war to put him to the test if he chooses to help us. If I may be so bold, Naruto-sama, who is this ninja? Asked Tanoko for the first time. Itachi Uchiha. Only 2 words, but the reaction said a lot about what those words meant. The mere mention of his name demonstrated the impact that man had on people. Naruto-kun, Hinata said, clearly hearing this for the first time, can you trust that monster? He killed his own family and is the main reason Sasuke is the way he is, and didn't you tell me he is part of the organization after you? It's okay, Hinata-chan, he kissed her gently on the lips. Shigure had a dreamy look in her eyes as she watched the two embrace. If I wanted to, I would have killed them both the last time I was on my way to the daimyo, but instead he showed signs that he had no interest in actually capturing me. What did you do? She inquired, eager to learn the full story. To make a long story short, he told me that what he did was actually a Konoha mission, and the alternative would have been a Uchiha clan coup. Can you confirm this, Naruto-sama? Riku inquired. I intend to, he said again, tomorrow I will go to Konoha and personally verify this information. If it is true, he will become a great asset to our village, and even better, a man's soul will be at ease. There is no need, Naruto-sama, Riku replied, feeling a little guilty for questioning his leader. We will follow your decisions. That is good, but I still need to verify the information, he said seriously, but more importantly, we need to train, because even though you are the strongest ninja in this village, you are not nearly strong enough to be even compared to Anbu, except for Riku-san. You shall all return here tomorrow before the sun rises for your training to begin. I trust that you have mastered whatever clan jutsu or personal jutsu are available to you. When he looked around at them, he saw only one thing on their faces, determination. Naruto-sama, the strongest ninja I know, has chosen me for his personal team of the strongest ninja in his village. I will not let him down, was just one of the many thoughts that ran through their heads. Now, before we leave, let us spend the rest of the day getting to know each other, he said before realizing that he couldn't see anyone due to the poorly lit meeting place, except for Shigure because of her hair. Let us go somewhere else and talk. Tsunade sat at her desk, a pen in one hand and her face in the other, lazily signing her name on yet another sheet of paper from the pile that seemed to never shrink. If only those damn things were alive, she could at least punch it into another country and it would be their problem, but then again, it would only make more paperwork. She signed another one and another until she decided to take a break. Tsunade-sama, we have word from the daimyo that. She looked at Tsunade suspiciously when she appeared to be paying too much attention to what she was saying. Tsunade-sama, What were you doing? Tsunade put on her best front. Nothing, Shizune. What is this from the daimyo? Yes. Regarding the report you sent him regarding the reports of the Earth country's military buildup, she waited for Tsunade to remember, or at least pretend she cared. He requests that we keep them under surveillance. Okay. Send an Anbu team in, and I'll brief them. Understood. Tsunade-sama, Shizune said calmly as he walked around the table and swiped the bottle that Tsunade had poorly hidden in her haste, but I can't leave you with this. A ninja in a gray cloak knelt before him in an undisclosed location, somewhere underground, an old man who looked not just past his prime but as if he had cheated death with it, getting the last laugh 3 times at least. Danzo-sama, the ninja said, there have been reports of a military buildup in Earth country. Ninja or samurai? He inquired. Samurai, Danzo-sama, he reported, still knelt and not raising his head. It appears that half the samurai of Earth country are mobilized against the new Whirlpool country. I see, he said, raising his head slightly as if thinking about something. I'd like you to be my eyes and ears on this. Report to me everything you see and hear from beginning to end, but otherwise do nothing because this does not concern us at this time. Tasai is your code name for this mission. Hi Danzo-sama, he said, and the old wreck of a man hobbled his way out. They finally settled in a location where they could get to know each other better and actually see each other and sit, even if they sat on the ground, fallen logs, or stone. I'll start. Naruto stood up. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I was raised as an orphan in the Konoha village my entire life. As you already know, I am the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Demon Fox, and it was my father, Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and my mother who came from Whirlpool country who sealed it within me. I was at the bottom of my class in the academy but rose through the ranks under extraordinary circumstances. My Junin sensei was Hitaki Kakashi, and life was boring until the first C-rank mission, where we met Momochi Zabuza and his apprentice. So you were on Hitaki Kakashi's teams, which means you were with the younger Uchiha? Riku inquired. I was, indeed. Pardon me, Naruto-sama, for interrupting you, but what happened to his sword? He asked again, if it is possible, may I be allowed to retrieve it? I will do you better than that, Riku-san, Naruto said, you can come with me tomorrow. Meet up with me at first light at the main gate. Haku and Zabuza deserve a better place to rest, at the very least, Naruto said. Of course, she says. Technically, I have no rank and cannot be claimed as a missing nin because I am presumed dead after a mission to retrieve Uchiha Sasuke after he defected. I was rescued by a girl named Sukin Akira. I returned to find the villagers rejoicing my death and Hinata left with Akira and I. We trained for 2 years and here we are. I have more chakra than you can imagine with perfect control. Okay. My name is Hyuga Hinata. For now, anyway, and I possess the Byakugan. She smiled and winked at Naruto. I am the former heiress to the Hyuga clan and a class missing nin of Konoha. I became a missing nin when I left Konoha to be with Naruto and the man who trained Naruto, Akira, and I killed a team of Anbu in the village. A bubbly pink-haired kunoichi raised her hand excitedly from across the crowd. Her eyes seemed to be filled with pure childish joy, but one could tell she knew what it was like to live and to have faced adversity. Alright, Shiger-chan, Hinata said warmly, you can go next. Yay, she tossed her hands and feet in the air, then blushed after almost giving everyone a peep show. My name is Hikari Shiger, I am 22 years old. I came from Hoshigakure no Sato. Nobody liked me there, they treated me like some sort of disease, but I survived the star. Nobody still didn't like me until Naruto-sama and Hinata-chan rescued me and the others unlocked. She unsheathed a blade that couldn't have been more than 1.5 feet long from end to end. It was beautifully crafted with green wrapping, a small oval guard of the same color, and a slight pink hue to the blade itself, with a wavy pattern dancing along the edge of the blade. The object seemed to give her a different kind of menacing, one that made her wary rather than intimidated. I can extend its length with my chakra, and the best part is that it's pink. Want to see, Booby-chan? I like butterflies and my pet, Coco. I despise people who are cruel to animals, and I wish I could walk on a rainbow one day. Everyone laughed at Myra's impromptu name, which she just pouted at. She acted like a child, especially when she held her pet red panda, Coco. How about you go first, Mira-san? Hinata suggested. Kitsumaru Mira, the last ninja clan in the old country, is a member of the Kitsumaru clan of Whirlpool. Among mortals, she appeared to be a goddess of pure beauty. Her black, dead straight hair framed her face and flowed gracefully to the small of her back. Cherry red pouty lips and the most soul-piercing seductive eyes that could possibly exist. They were green and the pupils almost slitted, but it had nothing to do with a dojutsu, just to increase her beauty and give her an untamed exotic look that would drive any man insane. It was no surprise Jiraiya couldn't stop himself. For a super pervert like him, he had no chance. Most men would be putty in her hands with just one look. Her body is a magnificent example of a female body, with a large bosom, small waist, round buttocks, and wide hips. It was almost sinful to put that into the Mongolian gown that had been modified to expose her cleavage and shortened so that her thighs were always visible. To top it all off, she was dressed in lace-up sandals that reached her calves. Her twin blades, each 1.5 feet in length from tip to tip and curved with an ornately crafted handle, were as deadly as a tiger. She preferred to get close to her victims without getting blood on her skin. As you wish, Lady Hinata, she stood. My name is Kitsumaru Mira of the Kitsumaru. I specialize in seduction of the opposite sex and poisons. My bloodline, which I have mastered to the highest degree possible, allows me to temporarily control or kill a man by simply being near him. Of course, he must come into contact with my breath. If I didn't have control of my advanced bloodline limit, I wouldn't be able to. The last part, she had a predatory grin on her face, like a fox moving in for the kill. I will go next, Riku said. My name is Hagen Riku, the blind Nodashi, former head of the 7 Swords of the Mist and the one who trained Zabuza. I am the true master of the silent killing technique, though I bet Naruto-sama and Hinata-sama here are a lot better than I am. I am a sword master and use mainly water-based ninjutsu. I like my new home. As expected of Riku-san, straight into the point, he said with a chuckle, Kanta-san, you're up next. Hi, Naruto-sama. He stood up, a slightly crazed but calculating look in his eyes. My name Tuno Kanta. I from Rice Field Country until my brother, Kitamaru follow Orochimaru. I refused and Orochimaru almost killed me. I nearly died until Hinata-sama saved me when she looked for flowers. I look like a spider and I use spider abilities. I am very strong. I like Hin. Very good Kanta-kun, Hinata exclaimed. I'm sure you'll be speaking like a pro in no time. You're doing great, Kanta, Naruto added as Kanta smiled deformedly. Kanta is not the brightest. In fact, he is quite dull. As a result, he was treated as a social outcast not only by the villagers, but also by his own family, and was exploited for his superhuman strength and skill with spider techniques. Despite his physical ability, he was beaten and subdued on a daily basis, and was not even given a fair chance to learn, which explains his poor speech. With his slightly hunched posture, extra pair of arms, and shoulder-length gray hair, his face appeared to be always scheming. It was not a bloodline restriction, but a forbidden technique used by his former clan to endow them with the wit, strength, speed, and ability of spiders to produce web that can be solidified as hard as bone or as soft as thread depending on the use, but was strong regardless of the form. He walked barefoot in tattered green slacks and a ragged-looking vest. He never wanted to wear anything else, something about his happy memory. Alright, who goes next? Naruto inquired. I will, most excellent leader. Alright, Mataza-san. Ahem, he cleared his throat as he rose to his feet gracefully. My name is Kumori Mataza. Riku Dono should be familiar with the Kumori clan of the Water Country. During the Bloodline Purge, I was fortunate enough to escape the killings due to my beauty, but it is both a blessing and a curse. He paused for a moment to laugh at himself before continuing. My bloodline is the most beautiful ability to manipulate the element of metal, much like the ice users. I carry no weapons because there isn't a single item that can match my beauty or what I can make with my art. There is nothing I like. After all, what could surpass this face and body? I dislike posers who think they can possess true beauty. I have no dreams except to serve my most wonderful leader and his equally as wonderful love. He paused to wipe a tear away. True, his beauty had saved his life, though he was too embarrassed to admit that he had been admiring his face in a pond while his clan was being slaughtered. He paid the price of regret every day for his vanity, and from the day his clan was killed, he devoted himself to body mastery and even weapon crafting in an attempt to forget, but he couldn't. Every time he looked in the mirror, he saw not only a beautifully sculpted face but also the face of his clan, and every time he chose admiring his image over training, it forced him harder so that he could be strong so that he could restart his clan, and with their beauty, they would not be as stupid as he was but also strong as the sculpted body he had formed from training and weapons crafting and as strong as the one man whose desires, drive, he'd never say it aloud, but Naruto is the only man he'd put above himself. I'll think about it, he said, a drop of sweat forming on his brow. Who's next? Ah, Tanoko-san, you should go next. Thank you, Naruto-sama, he politely bowed. My name is Sasurama Tanoko of the Sasurama clan of Waterfall, and I am honored to be chosen to be a part of this powerful group, but I am afraid that I am not that powerful. Apart from his unrivaled abilities with his family jutsus and clan weapon techniques, his best qualities were politeness and humility. No sense, Tanoko-san, Naruto scoffed. I wouldn't have chosen you if I didn't see that you are strong enough to be Anbu in any country. Please tell us about yourself. We use a razor with a detachable comma on each end. The clan head says I am the strongest they have seen in many generations, and I am also fairly efficient with the Futon, Akuma Senpu no Jutsu. There isn't much else I am afraid. I like poetry, I don't like dogs, and I only hope that when the time comes, I can be a good clan leader. He was completely bland, no distinctive features, his hair was a typical brown and spike, and his eyes shone no special light, even his clothing was typical and bland, a t-shirt, a pair of over-chain mail blue trousers and sandals. All of that had nothing on his prowess as a ninja. Using his clan jutsu and his razor chain and comma, he is an excellent close, medium, and sometimes long-range shuriken. Fuma Danjo was next. He was in his late 20s and became the clan's strongest after Arashi died in the hopes of saving the clan. He trained hard every day until he was able to master all the clan's techniques, including the self-destructing mandala, and his use of Senbon needle earned him the nickname, Fuma Tailor. Following him was Kagemusha Jin, the village spymaster. After the assassination of the rightful Hoshikage and the reinstatement of the star training, he vanished from the village without a trace. The truth was he stayed in the village all those years under disguise trying to upset control of the stand in Hoshikage and gather evidence against him. This continued until the last person gave a description of herself. Return home and bring everything you think you might need because after I return, none of us will leave this place until you reach the level of Anbu Captain. I will not accept anything less. Riku-san, we leave at 4 o'clock, so plan on a 2-day mission. They then went their separate ways, intending to return in the morning before sunrise. The following day. The next day, Naruto, Riku, and Tsubaki all arrived at the village's main gate at the same time. Tsubaki was prepared for anything, carrying a ninja to strap to her back in addition to the customary hip pouch and kunai holster. I guess you're here to protect me, Tsubaki-san, Naruto said. Of course, Uzumaki-sama, it is the Reizoku clan's responsibility to protect Uzumaki-sama and his family. Even though Uzumaki is more than capable of defending himself after the previous incident, we must not take any chances with the Shodai Konshisha's life. If you insist, but be very careful, Konoha is extremely well protected. I will obey your command, Uzumaki-sama. Good, Naruto said solemnly as they took off at the breakneck speed expected of ninja of their caliber, Riku-san. Uzumaki-sama, yes. We'll split up when we're within 10 miles of Konoha. At this point, you'll be heading towards Wave Country. Naruto handed him a scroll containing instructions. Your mission is to recover Momochi Zabuza's Kabikari Hucho as well as the bodies of Momochi Zabuza and his apprentice Haku. You'll meet us at the border of Fire and Whirlpool in 2 days. Do you comprehend? Indeed, Uzumaki-sama. You'll need these to transport the items, so get them now. They are sealing scrolls that I had prepared ahead of time. It wasn't long before they arrived at the separation area. After all, Konoha and Whirlpool shared a border, so the distance between the two villages was relatively short, and it was about midday. This is what we'll do, Naruto said, pulling a scroll from one of his pockets and unsealing its contents. Jin-san agreed to let me borrow some of his supplies. I'm not as good at it as he is, but I can still dress up. What will we do with those Uzumaki-sama? He unwrapped a simple change of clothes, as well as some makeup and hair dye. Well, I have a very distinct appearance. There is no one in the world who resembles me, but that is my problem, he said with a smug grin. Is it because you're meant to be dead? Yes. If I may be so bold, Uzumaki-sama, wouldn't a simple henge suffice? It would, but we're infiltrating a ninja village. The best way to accomplish this is to avoid acting like a ninja. I don't get it. A ninja would never expect another ninja to sneak into his village through the front gate and in broad daylight, he said as he tossed her the clothes, which were simple and plain. That is why we would do the exact opposite of what a ninja would do. When we're done getting ready, we'll walk up to the gate at a normal pace. Shinki Tenpa is your younger brother, and Shinki Koshi is your older sister. Understood. Her response was brief and to the point as she changed into a simple dress with a straw hat while Naruto applied blue dye to his hair to match Tsubaki's short blue hair and powder to conceal his whisker marks. You almost look like a civilian, Tsubaki-san. I mean Koshi-ne-chan. He stopped at her feet, except civilians don't wear tabis. She blushed in humiliation. Please accept my apologies, Uzumaki-sama. I am ill prepared for this mission. Perhaps I should follow you from the shadows. No need, Naruto said, unstrapping his sandal and handing it to her as he slipped on a pair of wooden geta. This all works out. Let's go. With that, he sealed her clothes into the scroll, along with her weapons and the weapons he usually carried, and gave it to Tsubaki to stow away. Halt, said the on-duty guard, state your names and reason for visiting Konoha, and please remove your hat. My younger brother has always wanted to see a real hidden village, so I brought him to Konoha for a short vacation with our parents' permission. I see, he said, motioning to his partner to search the younger boy by her side. Sorry for the inconvenience, but could you and your brother empty your pockets and bag of all their contents for inspection? Not a problem, Ninja-san. They emptied their pockets completely while the Chunin guard kept a close eye on them. There was nothing unusual, just money, accessories, and a couple of scrolls. What exactly is in the scroll? Just directions on one and a list of things and places we have to see on the other, the younger brother explained as he opened the two scrolls to reveal exactly what he said they were, a civilian map of Fire Country leading to Konoha and a to-do list, see. Hey, Shinobi-san, do you think we can see the Hokage? I hear she's got a huge... Now, Tenpa-kun, don't be rude, she blushed as she held her brother in a headlock. Would that be all, Shinobi-san? I hear the hot springs here are the best. By all means, have a good time. They waved goodbye to the Chunin guard Kotetsu. It's nice to see brother and sister like that, he told his partner, at least they kept us from being bored. Naruto and Tsubaki, disguised as Tenpa and Koshi, walked through the streets of the village towards the area of Konoha populated by the more affluent citizens. They arrived at a decent-sized house with a well-kept garden and a low fence and gate, indicating that whoever lived there had no fear of being attacked. After all, the Hyuga did live at the end of the road. The front door was not well guarded, but the most experienced ninja would put more protection around the windows and chimney than at the door. They were in with a simple lockpick. Once inside, the two ninjas donned face masks, even though it was not strictly necessary due to their false identities, but it was still necessary to appear as intimidating as possible. They moved inside the house like wraiths in search of prey, but the house was empty, and like the old ninja she was, the house was fairly well guarded with traps, but under Naruto's leadership and due to his intensive training, such measures were a waste. They waited all day for the owner of the single-room dwelling to return, and when the sun began to set, they heard footsteps walking along the path towards the door, so they took cover and awaited her arrival. She walked up to the door, inserted her key, turned, and pushed it in, making sure the trap she was carrying was not activated. She was a well-dressed old lady in her late 60s with a visible air of superiority. The arrogance was just washing off of her in waves, clearly content with her power and position. I commend you for entering my house without being killed, but I assure you, despite my age, you stand no chance against me, she said, looking at a normal patch of wall. Now will you come out of hiding or will I have to force you? The section of the wall Koharu was staring at abruptly rolled forward, revealing a feminine figure dressed simply in a simple dress, face mask, and hair cover, with only her eyes visible. I was expecting some sort of cloaking jutsu, but to so expertly conceal your presence with such a simple trick, she took in as much of the assailant as she could to determine the threat level. You are most definitely Junin level. To come at me in my own home is, unfortunately, suicide. Koharu was about to attack the woman when another presence appeared in the worst possible place for a ninja, especially one with her experience, her back. Whack. She collapsed to the ground in a boneless heap in an instant after being struck at the back of her neck, rendering her unconscious for the time being. Take her downstairs and tie her up securely, Naruto said, his face mask and head cover revealing only his piercing blue eyes. I'll be there shortly. She might need some water. Splash. Koharu awoke coughing after being hit in the face with a pitcher of water to wake her up. She looked up, wary, and saw two masked figures, one, apparently female, standing behind another with one of the most haunting blue eyes she had ever seen, holding an empty pitcher. The eyes were haunting for only one reason: they looked exactly like his. She needed to get away and inform Tsunade of the intruders, but her hands were tied in such a way that she couldn't perform any hand signs, both hands tightly tied to the arms of the wooden chair. The only option she had was to pull rank and hope to intimidate them or talk her way out of it. My, Koharu, Dono, the blue-eyed intruder mocked, you were so thirsty you drank the whole thing. Would you like some more? How dare you, she snarled, do you know what you've done? Who do you believe you are? Have you any idea who I am or what I am capable of doing to you? I'm going to get your head for this, you pathetic excuse for a ninja. Slap. Silence. The female said calmly after delivering a resounding slap. I suggest you refrain from insulting my master further and simply answer any questions. If you comply willingly, we will be on our way and no further harm will come to you. Thank you, she was giving me a headache, I said. When he turned back to the bound Koharu, all warmth seemed to be sucked out of the room, and Koharu felt her age, perhaps even older, for the first time. What is your name? She stammered, a strange sound coming from her mouth. That's irrelevant, but I'd like you to answer a few questions, eyes of blue ice and steel piercing into her. What are the circumstances surrounding Uchiha Itachi's missing nin situation? I'll simply tell him what everyone knows, the fool. For the sake of power, that monster slaughtered everyone in his clan except his younger brother. You answered that too quickly, he said, his eyes narrowing. I already know this version, now tell me what really happened. That's exactly what happened. If that's what you say, he stood up straight and turned away. Was the Uchiha clan planning a coup? Her eyes widened in shock. I'm not sure what you're talking about. How could he know such a thing? Wherever you got that, it is a complete fabrication. She tried to regain control. Uchiha Itachi is a monster who murdered his entire clan and mentally scarred his own brother. It's pointless, Advisor Dono. He leaned in closer, a bit of killing intent leaking and focusing on her. You look surprised when I said that. That only confirms what I already knew. One more question. What? She attempted to look her assailant in the eyes. Who issued the order? It was Sandaime Hokage, as you already know. Really? I heard it was his advisors, he said, his temperature dropping again as sweat poured from her brow and her bones began to clatter. Now, is that true? I mean no harm, but I'd like to know the truth. After all, this information poses no threat to your village, only to your position and influence, and I assure you that no necessary persons inside or outside of this village will be aware of it. It's just confirmation of some rumors I've heard. On the outside, Kaharu and Homura appear arrogant, strong, and invincible, but in reality, they were only riding the coattails of their deceased teammate, the Sandaime Hokage. In reality, they are outmatched and bore only a fraction of the burdens that their teammate bore. Sandaime didn't need Orochimaru to annoy him with advisors and team members like these. Yes, it was this, her resolve was unbroken, but she valued her life more, and the village would not suffer as a result. We gave him the order in Sandaime's name, and Sandaime allowed for Sasuke to be spared. I see, the suffocating and cold atmosphere had dissipated as he and his subordinate turned to exit the basement. Thank you for your cooperation, we shall depart. You can't leave me here like this, she yelled behind his back. Someone will come along. His pace slowed as he turned and returned his gaze to hers, but remember and tell the other one, be careful what you say about the dead. Regardless of their actions in life, they may not be so kind and forgiving if their name is misused, sullied, or cursed. They were gone in an instant, disappearing up the stairs. Where are you going now, Ooze? He quickly silenced her by placing his hand over her mouth. Be careful. Even though she's old, she's a ninja, and that old bat is listening intently to what we have to say, he said as he removed his hand from her mouth. Please accept my apologies. It's all right, he said, flashing through some hand seals, Ninpo, Kagesachi no Jutsu. They vanished into the floor, as if merging with it, only to reappear in a dark, unlit, and dusty area that appeared to be someone's apartment. The location appeared to have been abandoned for many years. It's been a while since I've seen this place, Naruto reflected. Tsubaki, you take the bed, and I'll sleep out here. I cannot do that, Uzumaki-sama. As your guardian, I must ensure your safety at all times, especially when you sleep. But as your leader, I'm ordering you to take the bed and get at least 6 hours of sleep, he said, pulling off his mask and prompting her to do the same. My clones can last that long with little difficulty. I am obligated to obey. She bowed and entered the room to sleep. Naruto sighed, unable to bear the thought of someone who looked up to him and acknowledged him in such a way, feeling disappointed as a result of him. If it's any consolation, he grinned, I could sleep in the room as well, you know, so you could keep an eye on me. She took her missions far too seriously, and to top it all off, she saw this lifelong mission to protect the Uzumaki household as the greatest honor she had ever received, for herself and her clan. Before meeting Naruto, the Reizoku clan were mercenaries who would do anything for money. They were originally from Hoshigakure, but after the death of the Hoshikage and the rule of the replacement Hoshikage, they were forced out because they were unwilling to subject any of their children to such training, which resulted in all of them dying whether they succeeded or not. Then, with their convictions of justice and a most unusual nindo in great strength and power, Naruto and Hinata overthrew the Hoshikage and invited any of the villagers to join them. The Rikoku's head, an old man in his twilight years but still strong enough to do most things on his own, saw the kind of power those two possessed and also saw that he had no intention of conquering the people or taking anything for himself. He made the decision that day that he and his clan would protect him with their lives, whether he wanted it or not, because his was a legacy that could not be snuffed out. As the light at the end of the tunnel that the Reizoku clan walked, his heart saved them from a life of darkness. Naruto created 4 shadow clones to guard the area while they slept as he drifted off to a short rest before waking up in 6 hours to complete the last objective. It was 10 o'clock at night, he would awaken again at 4 o'clock in the morning. A little after 4 o'clock in the morning, 2 ninjas crept across the village, hugging corners and hiding in shadows to avoid ninja patrols. They came to a halt on top of a branch as the blue-eyed ninja looked into a bedroom window where a bob of pink hair peeked out from beneath the covers. He flicked out a kunai with a note wrapped around the handle and launched it through the window with such force that it didn't shatter the window but left only a hole in the glass before embedding itself into the headboard of the bead with a loud. After hearing the close proximity of the impact, she sprang up from her bed with a kunai in her hand, looked around her room to assess any threat, and then looked at her headboard to see the kunai embedded in it. She yanked hard at it, attempting to extract the weapon that was nearly buried to its hilt, then turned her head to the window to see where it came from and saw a dark object standing on a branch outside her window, which then blurred out of sight. The last thing she remembered seeing of them was a pair of cold blue eyes boring into her soul. 2 black-clad ninjas stopped in a distant alley to have a brief conversation. Our mission was a success. The councilwoman will receive assistance in a few hours, and I have confirmed Itachi's story, he said, doing a few hand seals that were now quite familiar to him. Ninpo. Kagesachi no Jutsu. Riku should also be finished. We'll meet him at the border. He should arrive by 12 o'clock, so we'll have some waiting to do. They were gone and reappeared just as he predicted at the border, where they waited until 12 o'clock for the last member. Riku was finally spotted heading their way after a long wait. Do you have their bodies and the sword? Yes, Naruto-sama, he says. Alright, let's go back home and give them a proper funeral, Naruto said as he prepared for another Kagesachi no Jutsu. If I may, Naruto-sama, I'm sure you've heard of Zabuza. I could understand his apprentice, but why do you treat him so well? When we first met him, he actually gave us the option of giving him our charge and being on our way, but we couldn't, so he fought only to complete the mission, a sad smile, and at the end, you could see the care he had for his apprentice, who was like a son to him. He killed the root cause of Haku's death without using both of his arms and bore no resentment for Kakashi killing him after Haku gave his life to save Zabuza's. Naruto learned to hide his emotions and not show them, but amongst comrades and away from enemies, there was no need to hold back. Despite this, he did not cry. It was incredible to see him do that. He smiled as he remembered Zabuza's final moments. He may have gotten his name from the beginning, but he died fighting like an animal against all odds simply to avenge his one and only precious person. So I will honor him and Haku, the one who taught me that true strength comes from properly defending your precious people, and I will entrust you with the proper care of his sword. Let us return home now that we have confirmation of the 10th dragon, Uchiha Itachi. Kagesachi no Jutsu, Ninpo. The 3 simply vanished into a void in the earth beneath their feet, reappearing 2 days later in the ninja section of the village, right where they had their introductory meeting. Naruto-kun, he says. Hinata dove into his arms as he held her, his arms wrapping around her like a protective blanket as they kissed tenderly. I've missed you. How did your mission go? It went without a hitch, Hinata-chan, he said, refusing to let go of their grip. Uchiha Itachi was telling the truth, and Haku and Zabuza's bodies will be properly laid to rest. The Kabikari Hucho will be given to Riku-san to be properly cared for. Good, she said as she let go of their grip. we have a lot of training to do. While you were gone, I had each of them master any part of their clan jutsus in private, and when they finished, they were to meet back here. Are you going to put them through that? Tsubaki and Riku, who had been gone for a few days, had no idea what the two were talking about, and it showed. Let me explain. It is a simple obstacle course designed to raise stealth, agility, reflex, and awareness. It works wonders for one's speed when combined with the use of weights. It only works on stealth, agility, and speed at the beginning. Riku, as a former member of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist, I know you are extremely skilled, but I'd like to see how well you can handle it at the highest level. Yes, Naruto-sama, he said, bowing to the waist. Poor guy, he has no idea that this simple obstacle course will almost certainly kill them, especially at the highest level. Tsubaki, are there any clan techniques you still need to learn? If so, I recommend you return to your clan and immerse yourself in training. There is no need, Uzumaki-sama, she paused as Naruto pressed her, I have already earned the black scythe. I see, Naruto said clearly, in that case, you shall begin the obstacle course, after a brief warm-up of course. Hinata-chan and I will be training alongside everyone else. Because of your clan's specialty and the fact that you earned the black scythe, I believe this training will be just what you need. Reizoku Tsubaki of the Reizoku clan blossomed without anyone knowing, and should she die, she would do so tragically, leaving only a sad feeling. That's how her name and the camellia flower came to be. Tsubaki was the blossom of her clan, a clan predisposed to low chakra capacity, leaving them with the chakra capacity of a genin even at the pinnacle of their career. Tsubaki began training with the other children of her clan at a young age. Due to their low chakra capacity, they focus solely on increasing their speed, taijutsu, fuinjutsu, the use of 3 weapons in addition to kunai and shuriken, and assassination technique. Tsubaki was skilled with the Fuma shuriken, sword, and bow and arrow. Her development was so remarkable that she rose to become the clan's top ninja, earning the black scythe. But it wasn't just her unrivaled skill with her weapons, her speed, or her effectiveness as an assassin or guardian. She was also the best at using the only 3 ninjutsu that their clan could safely manage, Henge, Bunshin, and Kawarimi. It may sound pathetic, but her tactical mind and ability to combine them with her other skills allowed her not only to earn the black scythe, but also for Naruto to recognize her strength as a Junin. But no amount of praise could ever make her less stoic. Shino's female counterpart. Will you only do the obstacles course, Uzumaki-sama, or do you intend to train in other ways? For me, the obstacle course is just a warm-up. We only have 1 month after my true training begins, he says, a determined glint in his eyes, so we must become much, much stronger than we are right now. But Naruto-sama, you are already stronger than I am, Riku added. For the sake of protecting those dear to me, I will subject my body to furnace training in order to become far stronger than I am now. Riku-san, by the way, Hinata-chan and I have a few goals for this month, one of which is to learn a sword art. Will you assist us? I'm here to help. A girl is taking a short break from training in a location far removed from any society and partially removed from the dimension we know. She approaches her master with a question that has bothered her for some time. Master? What exactly is it? How powerful is a Jinchuriki? I see you're thinking about Naruto and Hinata. Yes, I am concerned about my younger brother. That is most foolish, Akira, he chuckled. Those two are far more powerful than you could ever imagine, especially Naruto, his will is incredible. Very, to answer your question. But there is a way to hone that power in a way that no one else has. Naruto has the seeds of this power in his heart and I am confident he can draw it out. He was able to hone a third of the Po while he was here. You mean he can use 3 tails of Kyuubi's power? Ha 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 ha, he laughed until he coughed. He can use a lot more than 3, but you're not listening, my student. I said he'd honed a third of his power. You're talking too much. Return to the circle and put on the blindfold. The break is over. Good day, Kiyoshi Shisho. Naruto, Hinata, I am proud of you so far, but Naruto, please don't become a victim of the power you wield and the untapped potential you still have. The Jinchuriki's true power.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.